Okay. Does that mean I'm on now? Okay, I'm going to go
You're
ahead.
on. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then do what
Well,
you
I
want.
was a software engineer in the U.S. Air Force for quite a few years. I'm now retired. I spent about 7 months in Arizona, about 5 months in Iowa, where my family lives, and so life is good. No complaints so far. I have to warn you though, I did get new teeth a couple of weeks ago, and I still lisp once in a while. I'm trying not to, but be patient with that if that bothers you. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. And it's, let me get this going first. Okay. I think I'm going to share my screen. Do you all see a introductory screen?
Yep, looks good.
Okay. iOS 17 has been out for a few months now, probably almost 5 months, 4 or 5 months. But there have been, I consider, an alarming number of upgrades to it since it's been out. And there have been some new features added. So we're going to go over it. I can't see y'all, so I don't know who's got iOS 17 or iPad OS 17. They're very, very similar. So we'll go ahead through this. If you have any questions, just please, we're a small enough group, you can interrupt me anytime. Okay, the iPhones that are supported by iOS 17 basically range from the iPhone 15 down to the iPhone SE second generation. The iPads supported by iPad OS 17 are basically the 12.9-inch second generation down to the iPad mini or the iPad 6th generation or later. And I'm a little confused, but I think we're coming out now with the 11th generation, if I'm not mistaken. So it's been around for a while. Okay, I'm not going to read the text to you. That's boring as can be. But iOS 17 does not seem to have any super sweeping changes as we've seen in some of the past updates. They're telling me, I was out at Apple, and they're telling me that iOS 18 is going to have some sweeping changes. So next fall, it'll be interesting to see what they come out with. But there are over 350 enhancements to iOS 17. And I'm not going to talk about all of them. We'd be here all night. But I'm going to talk on some that are pretty important. But my next statement is important. Because your device supports iOS 17 doesn't mean it supports all the features. Some features require an A12 Bionic processor or later, which I believe is the iPhone 12 and newer. So if you've got an iPhone 11 or an iPhone 7, some of these features won't be available to you. And they had this last statement mentioned there's some new features that won't be released until later this year. They've now been released, so I should clear that out of there. Okay, so what's new? A lot of updates to messages, phone, and FaceTime. There's a standby mode, an option to create animated stickers from live photos, improved autocorrect. Autocorrect has been greatly improved with iOS 17, by the way. No more Hey for Siri activation. You can just say Siri. Just go away, Siri. Okay. There are interactive widgets, which I have come to really enjoy. In the Health app, there's mood tracking and there's journaling. So there's a shared air tags. There's a few things we're going to talk about. Let's see on this screen, iOS 17 has, they're showing you a lot of the features here. One of the features I'm particularly having trouble with is sharing files with somebody else, not the calling card like they're showing in the top right side, but actually doing handing off a photograph or something. I'm still having trouble with that. I'm going iPhone 15 to iPhone 15, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, there's a new feature, and I hope some of you have tried it, but it's called standby mode. So you have to go into your settings on your iPhone, and you have to actually turn standby on. is shown in the top right. Once you do that, you can set your iPhone horizontally, and if it's in the lock position and hooked up to a charger, you'll get a screen something like you'll see here. Apple always shows their standby shots on it's called a MagSafe charger. I assume some of you have that. But it's a charger where your phone magnetically clips on and charges itself. And most of them have like a watch charger and so AirPod charger and so forth. You don't have to have that kind of charger. You can plug your iPhone into a wall charger, and lock the screen. And as long as you set it on its side, you will have standby mode. Here's a picture of my granddaughter, my two great-granddaughters in the weather. You can have that. You can have the stock market report in the weather or the temperature. You can just have the time. And you can have the time and temperature. Now, when I'm in my office or at my desk, I usually have the time in the stock market just because I want to know if I can go out to eat tonight or not. But on my nightstand, I have a display similar to that on the left, but I don't have a phone that stays on all the time. It goes off after about 20 seconds. Well, if you've got that kind of phone, if you just tap your nightstand, the display will come alive for about 20 seconds and show you what you want to know, how many times a night you get up or whatever. And then after 20 seconds, it will go blank again. There are phones that have always on display, some of the newer phones. But I've got an iPhone 15 and mine's not one of them. But the iPhone 15 Pro is. So all of these things that are shown on this screen can be changed. There's a large number of different displays that you can have and so forth. I actually, on my nightstand, I use the picture that's in the lower right, but it's all red letters, so it doesn't brighten up the room any. But during the day, I'll show something like what's up in the top left, the time and maybe the stock market. This feature is in my opinion, one of the best features they came out with. I really do like it. Something else, it actually came out, I believe, in iOS 16, but a lot of people don't know about it. And that's removing backgrounds in photographs. This particular photograph is of me and my two great-granddaughters last Halloween. I dressed up as a pilot, or pirate. I am a pilot, but I'm as a pirate. But I didn't like the background that was there. I'm also a stained glass artist, so yeah, normally I like looking at my work, but not in this picture. So if you bring your photograph up and you long press on the image, like I pressed on my stomach here, you'll see a white line go all the way around the entire image. Once you do that, there's also a menu at the top that says copy, add sticker, or share. But what you end up with is a photograph that's similar to let me go back. Similar to what's on the right. I only put this slide in here because so many people don't know it's available to them. But you just long press it. It can be a pet, it can be whatever. Long press on it, you'll see that white flash go around everything. You can then make a sticker, copy it, paste it somewhere, whatever you want to do, and end up with a little bit cleaner picture as I show on the right. That's a nice feature. With iOS 17, they introduced contact posters. Now you can make a contact poster out of your contact card. In fact, you can make more than one contact poster. You can make one for fun, for family or friends, and you can make another one for business. You can change the fonts, you can change the colors, and so forth. I made a contact poster for myself. I've yet to really discover the usefulness of it, other than when I text somebody or call somebody, they will see my contact poster and they'll know who's contacting them. fairly easy to make. You just open your contacts app on your phone, tap on my card at the top of the page. You might have to scroll up to get to your card. Tap the contact folder, tap contact photo and poster, and then tap edit, and then you can customize. You can add whatever picture you want. You can change the text. You can change the coloring. Kind of a fun feature. Apple really promoted it, but to be honest, I've yet to figure out exactly why. But it's a nice feature, and I have had some fun with it. If you notice, though, the phone screen itself has changed. Now, note the new buttons and location. You've got FaceTime on there. You've got mute. You've got contact folders, loudspeaker, and so forth. And of course, the hang up button is now, instead of a large red button, it's a little button in the middle and the bottom of the screen. So the buttons have changed a little bit. You'll also notice when you look up a contact, the buttons on that screen have also changed. You've got message, call, FaceTime, mail, or the last one, which you can try out for me, is you can send me money. Small denominational bills would be accepted. Okay. You can also create a personal sticker, which is very simple. You bring up your favorite photograph, you long press on your photo until you get that white shadow, and you add sticker. Then when you create a message and you want to create the message you want, you can click on the plus sign and select stickers. And here would be the beginning of your message, and you can see that plus sign on the left. That does an awful lot of things, but it does bring up a menu. It says cameras, photos, stickers, and so forth. If you click on stickers, when you enter your message, you can then select your sticker and it will appear above your message. And I've got quite a few of those of me with funny looks on my face and I use them for my kids. And what do you mean? What are you talking about? So stickers are fun to create, and they're handy when you use messages. You can also create some professional stickers and use them if you wish. Now, looking at this menu, camera, photos, stickers, and so forth, they list a number of applications. You can rearrange that list if you have other things that are more important to you, like location or what have you. I guess we're going to talk about sharing location first. If you wanted to share location with somebody, you can go to messages, start a message, click on the plus sign, and then click on location. And you can do one of two things. You can either share your location or you can ask them to share their location. And you can do that sharing indefinitely until the end of the day or for just 1 hour. This is kind of nice if you want to follow your. I've got a daughter that lives 9.5 hours from me. When she leaves my house to drive home, she shares her location with me so I can see where she's at. Kind of a nice feature. Some more message options. When you create a message, clicking on the plus sign brings up the menu as shown on the previous slide. If you scroll up that menu, you'll see additional choices. One of my favorite selections is now check-in. Check-in well, I'll just explain it on the next slide, I believe. Check-in allows you, for example, when my daughter goes home, I can send her a text and say, okay, I'd really like you to check in when you get home. And she'll say, okay, and I've got to check in. She has to approve that before I can follow her on the previous screen, or here she just says, okay, Dad, when I get home, you'll be notified. So what happens is we put in her location or a time it takes to get there. And when it hits that time, I'll get a message that says your daughter's arrived at home. Or she can do it by location. If for some reason she had a flat tire or a breakdown or something on the way, I would also be notified if she used check-in that there's been a little problem. It's a nice feature. The practicality of it, I don't know. I guess if you've got people who are leaving your house or coming to your home, it's nice to see where they're at and make sure they're traveling safely. The only time I've actually used this is to track my daughter going back to northern Minnesota. Nice feature, though. You can quickly add a photo to your messages. Click on that, start your message, click on that plus sign, and you can select photos. If you don't want to select from the menu, you can simply long press that plus sign and your photo gallery will appear and you can select the photo that you want to send. I do use this feature a fair amount. Just while we're talking about phones, the picture on the left is of me at a miniature car museum down in Maricopa, Arizona. The guy makes these cars out of refrigerator parts and stove parts and so forth. He's got about 12 of them that he's made. Quite interesting. So I had this picture taken, but I didn't like it with all the busy background in his garage. So I can touch it with 2 fingers and expand it as you can a photograph. When you do that with iOS 17, the word crop will appear in the top right corner. You can then crop that picture and zoom in a little bit. Cropping is probably the most used feature on editing photos that there is. This is an easy way to do it. And if you're ever in the Phoenix area, I suggest you go down to this guy's museum. It's a free, no charge, free admission, and it's incredible to see what he's doing. Okay, I also like this feature. When you receive a phone call, you can now press the voicemail button and have that call go directly there. And there's the voicemail button. So what will happen, the people will go to your voicemail, and if they leave a message, you'll see that message start to appear on your screen while they're recording it. And if you decide, oh, that's my doctor's office, I want to talk to them, you can then press that green button in the lower right corner and interrupt their voicemail and start talking to them. It's a little bit like the old answering machines where you could screen your calls that are coming in. Somebody would call and they'd start to leave a message and say, okay, yeah, I want to talk to them. You could pick up the phone. This is very, very similar to that. I use that when I get a call from an unknown caller. I'll send them the voicemail. If they leave a voicemail, I'll look at it. If I want to talk to them, I will. If I don't, I'll just let them record it and then I'll go in and delete both of them. That's a nice feature. Swapping numbers. I've never had an occasion to do this, but I don't work anymore either. But if you want to swap your contact information with somebody else, you bring up your contact information, hold your phone over there as it's shown as in this photograph, and your contact information will be shared with them or them with you. Those of you who are still working or still in the business world or education work, you may find that handy, but in order to do that, both people have to have an iPhone 17. I don't know. I even if I was working, I don't know that I would ever use this that much. Okay, AirDrop. Bringing 2 phones together will activate the sharing feature to allow you to transfer photos or files. All you have to do is bring the 2 phones side by side like they're shown here, and you can say share, and whatever you're wanting to share will immediately pass to the other phone. I have had some difficulty with this using an iPhone 15 to an iPhone 15 Plus. So we still airdrop the old-fashioned way, but it has worked at times, so it must be something that I'm doing. But it's convenient when it works. The map application with iOS 17 now allows you to, well, number one, it shows the EV charger availability if you want to go on a road trip. And it also allows you to download maps to use offline. To do that, when you bring up the maps, you have to click on your icon is shown here. Then you select offline maps. And you want to select the map area that you want to have offline and press on download, click on download. Here in Arizona, we do have places between cities. I mean, we have a lot of real estate between cities out here, and you will frequently lose your cell phone signal. So I have used offline maps, and it does work very well. It'll guide me right through that area where I can't get a signal until I do get a signal, and then it will pick that signal up again. I have tried it in the city, and I've kind of had mixed results. But in the country where you can lose your signal, it really does work well. So something to keep in mind. Interactive widgets. We've had widgets on the iPhone for some time now, but the interactive widgets, the weather or the stock market or whatever widget you care to put up there, you can now touch that widget and it will show you everything you want to see as though the app were open. But then when you slide it up the top of the screen, it's all closed. So you're not actually opening the app the way you used to. And it's quite interactive. It does a very good job. You've got maps on there, and you can stack widgets now, so you can have 3 or more widgets in a row and just keep sliding them up or down. It's a nice feature, and I've come to like that quite well. I may click on the stock market, and it will give me an immediate picture of where we're at for the day. But if I want more information, I just touch the widget, and all of a sudden it all opens up in front of me. Siri, now you no longer, you probably know this, but you no longer have to say, "Hey Siri." You can just say Siri, and she'll pop up an answer, just as mine just did. And I put her on silent. So that's kind of a nice feature, especially if you're in the car and you've got, well, if you have CarPlay on, or if you just set your phone on the seat next to you. When you say Siri, keep your hands on the steering wheel, she still responds, and you can say, "Give me directions to the nearest Taco Bell," and she'll bring up the map and so forth. I'm a big CarPlay fan, so I enjoy that. Okay, FaceTime has also changed. You can now record a video or audio message when someone misses your FaceTime call. I will sometimes FaceTime my granddaughter without looking at my watch to see what time it is, and she'll still be at work. I can now leave her a video or audio message that I called, and she'll call me back on her way home from work or something. Again, it's a new feature. It's a nice feature, and I do use that a bit. My problem is when I want to send my kids a text at 9:30 at night, and I forget that it's 11:30 at home, and I get them all out of bed over to look at a sunset or something. So I have to be careful of that. And you can also say call again. So there's some options there. Visual lookup is a feature that will allow you to get additional information on a subject in your photo. And here we've got a photo of a cactus that I saw on a bike ride or on a hike. Now, this has been available in previous versions, but AI is stepping in, making this a pretty useful feature. So I took the picture of the cactus, and I then clicked on the circle with the plus sign by it, the information circle. And it comes up and it tells me what kind of plant it is, where I'm located, and so on and so forth. It doesn't give you care and maintenance of the plant like some of the apps that you can subscribe to do, but it will tell you what it is. I've used this now to take pictures of animals just to see how it works. Here in Arizona, I've been on the golf course and we've seen coyotes walking next to us, bobcats, javelinas, the wild hogs. And so I've taken a few pictures of those, and it's been extremely accurate in what I was looking at. So it's a fun feature. Sue likes to take pictures of plants to find out what they were. She must have 500 on her phone. I don't think she's ever used the photos for anything, but she knows what every one of them are. So again, it's a nice feature. It's been greatly improved in iOS 17. I hope some of you who have iPhones are using the Apple Health app. It has made me say that I feel every senior should have some kind of smartwatch on just for the health features, to know if you've fallen, to know if your blood pressure is down, to know if your pulse rate is down. Well, that's always been on the Apple Health app, and they measure, your phone can be in your pocket and you're walking around. It's still measuring your steps for activity. One of the things that's been added now is some mental health well-being. And I think that's a pretty good feature. They'll ask you, how do you feel right now? And you can enter it and so forth. And it's all point and click. You can type a little bit in certain spots, but it tracks your moods and maybe it'll help diagnose some problem that you might be having or so forth. I personally don't use this one a lot, but I was glad to see it come out. I don't know how many of you use AirTags. I'm kind of a frequent traveler. We do a lot of cruising and flying to get on the ship and so forth. So I do use these, and I use them on my bicycle. I bike quite a bit as well. So I've got an AirTag on my bike. I've got an AirTag in my backpack, in my suitcase, in with my computer. So when I travel and I don't have those possessions with me, I can always see where they're at. So you check into an airport for a flight. Just before takeoff, I always look on my screen to see if my luggage is on the plane. It just makes me feel a little better. Or when we do some of these cruises, when we're at the hotel, they tell you, okay, leave your bag outside your room at 7 in the morning, and they pick it up, put it on the bus to take you wherever you're going. I want to make sure they didn't leave my bag back at the hotel. So to me, that's, great. Washington, D.C., and some other city out east, I can't remember where, they're now giving these things away to people that own certain brands of cars, as I understand it, cars that are high on the carjack list. The police department say their recovery factor is so much higher now that they're doing that they're giving these things away to people who own those certain cars. So it's a good thing to have. Now, I had a stump the chump session this morning where people could fire questions at me. And one of the questions was, well, sometimes I leave my iPad at home and it's got an AirTag on it. And I might be gone 20 minutes before I'm notified that I left it behind. Well, that's very true. These things work off of Bluetooth. So you might have a Bluetooth you might have an AirTag in a backpack, but it can't generate a signal to you for any reason. Somebody has to walk close within 30 feet of it so that it can grab a Bluetooth signal and contact you. Now, the people whose Bluetooth they're using, they have no idea that that's happening. But if somebody with Bluetooth walks by your bag or your backpack, that'll latch on to that, send you the signal and say, okay, here I am. So I think that's kind of very handy. Now, there's a new AirTag. All the old AirTags are getting software upgrades now. They just happen automatically. And as I understand, there are some new AirTags coming out. I'm hoping they improve on that Bluetooth business, so we get notified a little bit sooner. Some parents are putting these things in the backpacks of their children. When some grandparents I know here in Arizona, when the kids come out on spring break, first thing they do is drop an AirTag in their backpack so they always know where the kid is. Some people put them in their cars. It's been suggested by the Phoenix Police Department anyway, if you're going to put an AirTag in your car, put 2 of them, separate them and hide them in different places. Because the bad guys now know to look for an AirTag, and if they find one, they'll say, aha, and they'll pitch it out the window. But if you got 2 in the car, they seldom think you have 2. So that's what the Phoenix Police is suggesting at this point. AirTags can be improved on. The batteries last about a year. They're 2032 batteries, so you can pick them up quite inexpensively almost anywhere. But I would like to see a little improvement on their signal capability. Another thing they've done with iOS 17 is you can now share an AirTag. So I've got mine in my backpack, on my e-bike, on my key ring, on my suitcase. Sue's got one in her purse and in her suitcase and so forth. She can now share her AirTags with me and me with her, so that we both aren't having to see where our things are when we get on the plane. We can just go to one phone and see where everything is. This is all done. You can find them with the Find My app, which I use frequently. Journaling, that was one of the items that they came out rather late with after iOS 17 was released. But it's a new way to appreciate life's moments and preserve memories if you're into that. It's like a daily diary. Your iPhone will create personal suggestions based on your photos, music, workouts, and more. So it's not uncommon in the middle of the afternoon to say, hey, you went to an art fair yesterday. Maybe you want to write about that in your journal. They will nudge you to write those things. I am not a daily journalist. I have written a book about my life, and my grandkids have that. My great grandkids have that, so that satisfies me. But if you're into journaling, this works pretty darn good. It will be improved as time goes on. It's not as good as some of the journal programs that have been out for years, but it's free and it comes with the Apple, so it's not a bad thing. Of course, Spotlight is fairly new. Spotlight offers you apps, shortcuts to your next action with the tap hit. It's the search button at the bottom of your iPhone screen and just simply says search. That's called Spotlight. When you touch on Spotlight, by the way, it will come up and it'll tell you you've got, depending what you ask, but it'll come up with several locations or several answers for you to consider looking at. It really does work quite well. Privacy and security. Communication safety now includes protections for sensitive videos and photos. If somebody sends you a message or an email or by airdrop of a nude lady or a nude guy and you don't want to see it, you can now block that before it ever hits your eyes. I expect this will be improved to where they may also pick up certain language patterns and so forth and block those as well. So that's something new, privacy and security. And there are a lot more enhancements. Accessibility has a lot of great enhancements for handicapped folks or people who are hard of hearing and so forth. Fitness has been improved. Photos have been improved. Autocorrect has been greatly improved. And 2 of my favorites that I've just in the last 6 months have really picked up on are reminders and notes. I didn't realize the notes and reminders were as powerful a program as they are for those types of things. I used to use a different note app that I was subscribing to. Well, I've converted everything now to notes and reminders apps and no longer have to pay the subscription. And I'm no different than most other seniors. I can be a little frugal too, so. Okay. Any questions? No? Okay. Well, that'll cover iOS 17, iPad OS 17, and where we're at now. The new releases mostly contain things that improve what I showed you from their initial release. There's a new release coming out next week, supposedly. It'll be iOS 17.4. There's supposed to be some good things in there, but all I've seen are rumors, and I don't spread rumors, so I don't talk about them. But so that'll be coming out next week. iOS 17 continues to grow. In September, when Apple has their big event, iOS 18 will be released. This coming month in March, Apple will be introducing new iPads. They're going to have an iPad Air that's going to be 11.1 inches, and I believe they're going to have another one that's 13.3 inches, or 12.9 inches, I'm sorry. But they're going to have the same Magic Keyboard. They're coming out with a new iPad Pro that instead of 12.9 will be now 13.1. And they're coming out with one that's a little bit larger that will have a new Apple Magic Keyboard. They're coming out with a new iPhone SE. So there's some new things there, and there's probably going to be a new Mac announced with a little bit larger screen. And all of that's coming in March. So, any questions?
Hey,
If
Jerry.
not, yeah.
One question. I finally got Zoom under control after the screen share. When you crop a picture, so you take a picture, you do the cropping that you were just showing us earlier. Are you
Right.
replacing the original image, or are you given the option to say, okay, I want to crop it. I don't want to blow away what I started with. I want to just save the result of the
I
crop.
believe you're replacing the original, but you can go back to the original. If you open a crop photo, you can say return to original, and it'll go back to the original.
Ah, okay. Okay. Very good.
And I may be wrong. I'm thinking that I did see somewhere that this can be a copy rather than replace the original. Now you've got my mind wandering, so can't answer that right now. Try
Okay.
it. Try it, yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to do that. That's kind of
It seems
cool.
like I saw somewhere where you can say save as a copy or save or change the original. And I'm not sure if it was iOS 17 or not. So sorry about that.
Nope, that's all right.
All right, anything else? No? How many of you are using iOS 17? Yeah, okay. Are you using most of the features I showed you?
No.
No. There's a lot there. I'd say my favorite is standby. I can sit at my desk and put my phone on the charger, and my phone will stay charged. I'm seeing everything I want to see. So I like that standby mode. The contact posters, I have fun with it, but I don't know if there's a true use for them yet. So, okay, if there's nothing else, guys, I appreciate you inviting me. I can't remember when we made this appointment, but it was some time ago.
It was in October.
Yeah. So
I plan ahead sometimes.
yeah, well, I don't do a lot of iOS 17 anymore because most people have already had it. But it's good to review once in a while. Even if you have it, you'll see things that you don't use that you possibly could. So
The voicemail
right.
transcription is intriguing.
yes,
You're right. It's like an old answering machine where you can pick up
exactly.
and interrupt.
And I use that fairly. I'll get a phone call from a number I don't recognize, and I'll send it to voicemail. They'll start recording and say, "This is Shannon at Dr. So-and-so's office," because they don't call from the same phone. So I can hit that green button and say, "Hey, Shannon, okay, I'm here. What's up?" So it's kind of handy that way. I was glad to see that particular improvement. So have anybody used that at all? It's kind of fun. Have your kids call you sometime and let them know I'm going to send you the voicemail. I want to see what happens.
I accidentally used it once.
Did you? Successfully or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I have an old phone. I have a 13 Pro Max. So
okay. Well, some of those features will be available to you and some of them won't. Yeah, I get a kick every year. Apple, they're going to come out with an iPhone 16 this year. What I'm reading about the iPhone 16, there's no way on this earth I'm going to spend $1,000 to upgrade. I'm not going to get that much more over what I already have. So I change phones. I do update because of what I do. I do update my phone about every 2 years, and I'm on a plan with T-Mobile that it doesn't cost me anything. I upgrade my iPad about every 4 years, and I upgrade my Mac, well, I have for that about every 6 years. But I'm now going to do away with my Mac. I'm going to stay with the iPad and the Magic Keyboard because it does everything I need to do. I just have to pay Microsoft Office $69 a year for a subscription for their programs.
Yeah.
Which is not a big deal. Right. Guys, good seeing you. Thank you very much again for having me. If there's no more questions, I'll get out of your ear. Thank you,
Kenneth
sir.
has a question.
Yes.
More of an observation. So as we were talking about beforehand, I never joined Zoom directly from the iPad and shared. And when you did, it was different. What was really strange is, and I guess this is good to know, whatever your last face was before you shared the screen, that was your profile picture. So one time you had your tongue out a little bit like you were thinking before the meeting. And then during this meeting, it was actually okay, whatever the profile was. But you almost have to remember, let me smile first before I share. Otherwise, you could be in an awkward position. It was really strange.
I could be. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah. Anything else? No? Guys, have a good evening.
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank you.
You betcha.